So theoretically, we are streaming again on all three, and our video choked.
Again?
No. We were just really still, sorry. Okay. We're back. And I think we're better than ever. We're back and we're better than ever.
What's Ralph Hirschberger doing? 10 hours ago in Wheatland, California, here's a post of a picture of him at a concert in his military threads. You want to see this?
I saw it already.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What's he doing?
I think he's recruiting.
Oh. From concerts? Like getting rock stars to come? Be
No,
part of the band?
kids.
Oh. Well, if they're at a rock concert, they'll be fully vaccinated, that's for sure.
Right. They got there.
Because you can't get in.
We're not talking about that, though.
I'm sorry. Bells and whistles, bells and whistles. Are we on yet?
Yeah, we're on.
Oh, we've been on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've of course, as normal, we've been having technical difficulties, things freezing up, not working right. So we're gonna try this again, but just for the fun of it, we're not having an intro song, right?
No, we're just here.
We're just here.
We're just here. We hope you're still here.
Yeah, and we're talking about whether or not God exists, and the discussion is really quite intriguing, just because there's a lot of people, even Christians, that struggle with this, and I would say even Christians that say they don't struggle with it probably still do from time to time. And I read the scripture text from 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 16, talking about God who possesses immortality and dwells in unapproachable light, whom no man has seen or can see. To him be honor and eternal dominion. Amen. So the fact that there's this God whom you can't see and you have not seen, and people say they have experiences with him, they've never had a vision, that's really difficult. Brandon says that he believes that God exists because he tried all these other things, and God seems to be the one thing that made his house and his relationships different. Not different. Like, can you explain when you say, like, you said pure, but
fuller, more meaningful,
okay,
more loving.
All right. And I ask if you searched long enough you'd find that somewhere else, and you said no.
Yeah, you could find it somewhere else, but it only lasts minute.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Like something that would fulfill me would only last, if I got a new whatever, it would only last a week.
Mm-hmm.
Make me happy. Then I'm on to the next high. Then the next high.
Right.
But this just keeps fulfilling me daily, you know?
So maybe kind of like when Jesus was at the well with the woman, he said, I will give you water, living water that flows up as a spring inside of you. Almost like it just never stops, this living water.
Yep.
All right, and so then I turned to Matt, and I said, Matt, you grew up kind of in the whole faith.
I look at me as like David, you know?
Like the King David?
Yeah.
My Bible study or Michael.
What was that?
This is Mike. I'll turn it off. I'll message him, see if I can call him later.
I just didn't slay any giants or do anything special.
Yeah. So you grew up in a home and you were pretty much called to be the king.
Right.
And that's what made you believe in God.
Well, I didn't. Nothing made me. I just did.
You just did.
I just did.
Okay. I've asked my boys this over and over again. You know, it'd be great to have him here. But I said, you know, why do you believe in God? Because you were raised in a Christian home, or because you believe it's true? They've both said they believe it's true. My oldest son, Brian, has said, you know, it's funny. I'm not perfect, nor do I follow God perfectly, and I probably don't read my Bible the way I should. And I'm like, you mean you don't read it at all? And he said, yeah. And he said, but if someone, he said, I just know deep down inside, if someone came to me and said, deny Christ or I'll kill you, he said, I would literally let them kill me.
Yeah.
Now you can make that statement because no one's standing there pointing a gun at you, but he said, that's something he knows deep in his heart. So where does that come from? Because you haven't seen, there's no evidence as far
No,
as.
there is evidence though.
Okay.
It's written on our hearts.
All right, so yeah, you shared Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 11.
Yeah.
That eternity is written on the hearts of humans.
We instinctively know.
But is that like for an atheist? An atheist would say, well, that's just like what tells us that we need to survive. That's the evolutionary thing, that survival of the fittest.
That's a different thing because if they came to me and said your life is required of you, then you would say, yeah, go ahead and take my life because I'm not going to deny Christ. Well, that flies right in the face of survival.
Yeah, right. Well, not to mention, doesn't it seem odd that...
You know what you would die for.
Right. Doesn't it seem odd that a lot of people, though, they're not really just concerned about survival. They're concerned about what's going to happen to me after survival? Like after I die?
Some people aren't.
You don't think?
I mean, maybe some, but I know a few that aren't.
They're pretty solid in there. We're just going to be nothing.
Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. So I was reading a YouTube thing while driving, and not a YouTube thing, a meme on Facebook.
You realize you could get in an accident if you drive and read stuff.
Something's got to fill the time. It gets boring, Brian.
All right.
So, it's quietest room in the world is somewhere in a lab in Minnesota, I think. It registers negative 9.4 dB.
Okay.
A normal quiet room, like if you walk into a room with no sound, ambient noise is at least 25 to 30 dB.
Wow.
Okay. So this room is negative. I don't even know how you get negative. Like, it's actually pulling sound in. Okay. So the room is so quiet that when you walk in, I don't know how true this is. It's a meme, but go with me on the thought experiment. It says that the room is so quiet when you walk in, you hear your organs.
Oh.
You can hear your heart. You hear your lungs exchanging. Because they're the only things making noise. You're making the noise. And no one has lasted in the room longer than 45 minutes because, well, they say normally after 15 minutes you start hallucinating. Because you can't take the quiet. Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever thought about, maybe I think about these things too much, but if tomorrow I were deaf, if you're born deaf, you've just always been that way. But if suddenly you become deaf, I think I would go crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm not kidding. I think you would have to put me down. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know that I could. I don't even know. Just think about hearing nothing. What that would be.
We should have my father-in-law come on here.
But he still hears things.
I know, just not very well.
No, that's still totally different. You still can hear things.
Yeah, no.
Or if tomorrow, I think I could deal with blindness easier. Not being able to hear would drive me insane.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to be able to see because then someone's sneaking up on you, man. You can't.
You'll hear him. You'll hear. But listen, that'll become heightened. You'd be amazed.
Yeah.
You would be amazed. But no sound.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do.
Well, definitely.
So anyway, I don't remember what got us on this topic.
It'd be difficult. We'd probably have to get you off the guitar if you didn't hear. You probably wouldn't. Be able to play
I would cut my hands off. Like I don't know what in the world would I do.
Well, I don't think you don't want to cut your hands off though.
No, I think that would be irrational.
Okay, so let's think about this then. So
why? Okay, we were talking about the evidence of God is clearly all around us.
yeah.
It's the only way you can explain the things that are around us and how they're going on, and He put it in us innately that we know He's there. Mm-hmm. Not to mention He hung the moon and stars so we would see how great He was. Right. So, I mean, I don't know. To me, there's always been a God. He's always existed, and you do what He says.
All right. And if someone doesn't believe that, do you feel like it's a waste of time to try to argue all these positions and try to talk about these things? Yeah.
I think there's one position, and that is that you don't want to submit. You don't want authority in your life. You don't want consequences.
Yeah.
You want to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
There's a million degrees of that.
So you don't think there's some atheists out there and agnostics who, if they really had an experience, if God really proved himself to them, that they would believe?
I think they know there's a God. That's why they're atheists. But they're running away from him so hard, they're trying to deny him.
Right.
This goes back to the Norm Macdonald thing. Like, if the atheist was real with himself, he's thinking about God all the time.
Yeah, right.
He's thinking about why he doesn't exist.
Right.
So that he can make a reason that he doesn't have to believe.
Right.
Because if people that just don't care, I would say those are the true atheists.
Right.
They just don't care.
Yeah.
They don't talk about
Or
it.
they might
don't
believe
think
in
about
something, but they don't know what the something is.
Right.
And bottom line, they just don't care where they go.
Yeah. They will fall into their hole in the ground, not caring the whole way.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So Norm Macdonald is, he just passed away, a few weeks ago?
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago.
He was Saturday Night Live guy.
Yeah.
Comedian, stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
He
did some movies.
Yeah, some controversy lately in some of the things he said, I guess. I don't know. But of course, comedians always seem to have themselves centered around controversy because they say stuff that's funny for some people but offensive to other people.
I guess I think this is why I identified this. I've always loved Norm Macdonald. Because he would think about something in a way that would immediately put off the public idea of what is, and make you think about it backwards and go, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I saw a scene in a movie, watching just a quick clip of his, maybe it was a TV show, and he asked this lady what she was doing. She said she was going to go play tennis with some girl, and he goes, how about I go play tennis with some girl and you do something else? And I was just like, I mean, that's amazing. But yet the people that were interviewing him, and after they showed that clip, they almost acted like that was like that was a horrible thing, but it was hilarious.
No, right. And that was, but I guess the long and short to kind of move this thing forward is like, I never realized he had a belief in God. Okay. He didn't really talk about Jesus. Right. He didn't really talk about salvation. I don't really know if he understood the story of salvation, but to me, he is a symptom of what walks around the world. And like, I believe there's a God, and he respected that, and he thought that you should too, but he couldn't give a reason why it was important.
Yeah. So let me ask this question then. Is it possible, and this is my own personal struggle inside, is it possible to truly believe that there's a God? Because I walk around talking to this guy all the time. All right? I mean, in my car, when I'm on by myself, I talk to him all the time. Is it possible to believe in a God, have all kinds of evidence, scriptural evidence, physical evidence, and yet still in your mind and heart sometimes go, but I just wish I could see him. I just wish I...
You might be schizo.
Had some tangible... I might be. Maybe I should go have that checked. I mean, is it possible, to want that? Or are you denying the evidence because you want to see him?
I think I do see him.
Well, see, I think I do too, but every time you do, there's something that pops up in your head that tries to question that.
Well, but you see him in the result, right?
Yeah.
It's like we were talking earlier. Now you understand why those things happen. And when you see them, you go, there's no other way this could work unless there was a hand of God.
So for April and I, we pray about something.
You want Jesus to come over to your living room, have a cup of coffee, and talk with you.
I do. I really do.
Yeah, well, we all would. Okay.
So I'm not weird in that sense?
I don't think so. I mean, if it were possible, why not?
But I really want it bad. Some people, they're like, whatever. But I really want it bad.
Do you ever sit on the edge of your bed and go, Jesus, if you don't come talk to me today, I'm really going to think about following you?
No. Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No, I always, like, no matter what, I'm like, okay, I'm in this for the long haul. But sometimes I just, and I know he probably gets ticked at me because he's like, seriously, dude, I've shown, like, you and your wife pray for stuff that no way anything could make that happen, and then it happens, and you get this thing inside of you, Brian, that goes, man, he answered that, and then 10 minutes later, well, maybe it was just
See, but that
coincidence.
makes you no different than Moses or King David. Then they were the same way. Mankind's always been the same way.
Yeah.
God reveals himself. Everybody goes, praise you, thank you. All right, I'm back to my regular life. Oh, I'm in trouble. Somebody help me. God, thank you for helping me. Now I believe you. Praise you. Thank you. Okay, now I'm back to my life.
What if you didn't pray about something, but thought about something, and it happened?
That's just your phone.
Oh, yeah. That's algorithms.
That's your phone listening to you.
Why, have you done that?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking.
I don't know. I mean, well, this is real. Have I told you guys this story about when I was really struggling with my fears of death and
Anxiety.
my anxiety? And I was at a basketball game. So I'm at Nathan's rec basketball game. I think he's in like 6th grade. And Nathan wasn't getting in like till maybe the last couple seconds of the game because the other players were better or whatever, you know, and so that's kind of how rec works. You know, you get in like the last 30 seconds so that you feel maybe good about yourself that you got into the game, but you really know that you're not good enough to get in to the last 30 seconds, you know, that whole thing. So I knew Nathan was going to get in. There was only like a minute and something left. And I was up there and I literally in my mind, but I kind of did it, but didn't do it. But I kind of made this thing with God. I'm like, God, I will stop being anxious and I will stop being afraid of this whole death thing if Nathan scores a basket. Because I knew this was like almost impossible. Okay? So I'm sitting there and they're going down the court and they pass it to Nathan. All right? And I'm getting excited inside. I mean, there's only like maybe 30 seconds left. And they pass it to him. And somehow, I'm telling you, there was no logical reason for him to make this basket. He comes under like a couple defenders, throws the ball in the air, it hits the backboard and goes in the hoop. And so I walk out of there with this excitement in me that God not only heard me, but I didn't even really ask him. I was just like kind of maybe saying, well, if you kind of could, you know, that would be really neat kind of thing, you know, if that happened, because then I could, you know, I could just relax, everything under control. You can even make my son, who only gets in the last 30 seconds, if you can make him score a basket, you definitely can take care of me and I don't have to worry about this stuff. You know, it's kind of like that idea. I walked out of there, but like, you know, an hour later, something happened, you know, and I started being afraid again.
So you were tempting God?
I don't know if I was maybe I was testing him.
Wasn't that the same thing?
No, if tempting him would have been like if I would have stood on the top of the high school that it was at and jumped off and said, hey, if you're really God, catch me.
Yeah, don't you think it's the same thing?
No, well, it says in Malachi, test me and bring your tithe into the storehouse and see if I won't open up the floodgates of heaven and bless you.
So how did you tithe Nathan's point?
I didn't believe. I continued to be afraid after that. I get it.
Yeah. No, listen. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I have evidence after evidence after evidence.
Moses did.
And I still struggle sometimes.
The people who followed Moses did. And they still wanted something besides bread in the desert.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Like what I do now is I use my Samsung Notes.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, for stuff that I'm really struggling through, I write it down when I see like a break. Or, hey, read this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, to me, is evidence. You know what I'm saying?
So, like, God brings something up, you mean? Or you were reading something and it speaks to what you were struggling
No,
with?
or I'll think of something, hey, read this.
Oh.
And I'll be like, 10-1-21, thought of reading this, helped me through the day. And I'll write, you know.
That's pretty cool.
I'll write that down in here.
That's good.
And now I just have this whole portfolio being built.
Yeah.
so I don't forget the signs and miracles
Right.
through my walk.
Right. I got one more story for you. This is right after Josh died. All right, my nephew. And I was really struggling with anxieties, and I was really struggling with, where's he at? How can I be sure, And I was struggling with my own kind of salvation, because like I'm scared now at this point. And so April and I decided to go to a Starbucks in Menor, and we're going to just do our studies. She was going to work on some stuff, and I was going to work on some stuff. And so we go to the Starbucks on 20, and their machine's down to make like our mochas that we normally get or whatever. So they're like, but there's one over in the Barnes & Noble. So like, okay, so we drive over there, and we get that, and we sit down. And as we're sitting there, there's a guy next to us with his wife, and the guy looks over and he goes, oh, what are you reading? Because I had my Bible out. And so he begins to talk, and he shares his kind of testimony. And his testimony kind of leads to where he was an atheist, and then his best friend died, and he's driving past his house following this funeral parade or whatever, going to the gravesite. And he gets this thought in his head that, what if that was you in the back of the car? And from that point on, the rest is history. He said, I got up the next to beat, and he goes, I just been following Christ ever since, and blah, blah, blah. And then he looks at me, and he goes, this is the thing. He goes, I just need to tell you, he goes, heaven is real. Like, this whole thing is real. And he said that 3 times. He said it again. And then when he got up to leave, he's walking out, and he looks over, and he said, hey, I just want to tell you real quick. He said, if you don't remember anything, he said, just remember it's real. And that's all he said. And then him and his wife walk out. And I'm sitting there, and I had
For no reason, he's telling you this.
Yeah. And I wrote this down in my journal. Like, I still I have it at home in my journal and stuff. And I got up that day, and I had this elated feeling in me that said, man, I can trust this. I don't have to worry. I don't have to be afraid, all that stuff. And 6 hours later, probably something happened, and I was afraid again. But those are the kind of things that grip me and go, man, I know, I believe. But for some reason, man, temptation comes, and I doubt.
And this goes to what we were talking about earlier. Like, there's either going to be 8 people in heaven.
Yeah.
Or, there's going to be a lot more. Like, because we all struggle. We're no different than the Israelites in the early days. Mm-hmm. We're no different than Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
We're all the same. It can always go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
We fail. God has to save us. We believe.
Right.
Then we fail again.
Yeah.
And we don't want to, and we try. I try not to. I try and be better, do better, be conscious of what. And then I'll drive by someone who with one arm changing a tire by the side of the highway. I won't even think about it. Yeah. Till I get about 30 miles down the road, and I'm like, I should have helped that one arm man.
That's so funny.
I don't know, because that's something that I guess I'm trying to work on in my life, is to be more conscious of helping people. Yeah. And I seem to suck at it worse then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what if we took Stephen Manley's advice and he says just stop trying?
Right.
So if that's the case, then I get to know God, and I go after Him with everything that's in me.
Yeah.
And then I stop trying to be good.
Yeah, I don't think that means you stop reading your Bible and
right.
praying and right. doing the things, but like trying of our own volition.
Yeah.
Man, gotta be nothing there.
Because I gotta tell you, dudes, I'm tired of feeling guilty all the time in my faith.
Yeah. Right.
Because I feel guilty a lot in my faith.
Yeah. Do you feel this way?
Yeah.
Like it's constant conviction, like
you're not doing enough,
or you did it wrong.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, yeah. I agree. I think that is a big part of the battle.
Yeah.
In faith is like feeling like you're always screwing up.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if God exists.
Which we're really, if you think about it really quickly, we're making a great advertisement for doing this. Sitting here talking about our struggles in the faith.
Yeah.
No, come on over. You should do it.
Yeah.
You should come over and be tortured with us.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I don't know if God exists, like as far as I could prove it to someone.
Yeah.
But I know He exists.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We really all do.
Yeah.
And I think, when we're talking to people, speak to that. Like, speak to them that they know in their heart there's a God. Don't try and convince them there's a God.
Right.
He's already done that. He put it in them.
Yeah.
It's there.
Right.
And unless they're a stone cold killer, where their heart is hard and their mind's been given over to whatever, then know that inside that person they want to believe you. They want, and I'm not. You know what? Think about it. Think about talking to most of the people that you've witnessed to or talked to. If you're serious when you're talking about it, they will listen.
Yeah.
They're attuned. They want to hear what you have to say.
Right.
Now, by the time you're done, they can go, that's a bunch of hooey-dooey.
Right.
But you can see that you capture their attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I mean it's a lot because I think a lot of the people we encounter, they're actually not atheists, like you said. Like I think they do, even if they say they're atheists, they do believe in a God. So now it crosses over then into like I think it's John. Let me just pull it up real quick. I just want to share this with you guys, but it's John.
4, chapters 4 through 6.
No, it's John 1:18. No one has ever seen God, but the one and only Son, who is himself God and is in closest relationship with the Father, has made him known. So in my opinion, the one thing, like if I had to follow any other religion, I think the whole God thing would just be like fairy tales and lollipops for me.
Yeah.
But Jesus seals the deal for me. And I can see why he is the crux and the stumbling block for all other faiths. Because he seals the deal for me. He has revealed who God is. And when I look at the person of Jesus in the scriptures, there is something divine that speaks to the depths of who I am. And I can't get away from that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
At all.
No, and you are required to put your faith there. That is the only thing that saves you.
Right.
You are trusting your life to the plan that God made for you.
Yeah.
It's the only religion that we can't work our way to heaven.
Right. Yeah.
Every other religion requires you to do work.
Right.
You can work your way there.
Right.
And if all this is mumble jumble, it doesn't matter anyway. You lived a good life.
That's Pascal's wager.
I don't know. Did he say that?
Mm-hmm. Blaise Pascal, who...
It wasn't Louis Pascal?
No, it was Blaise Pascal. He wrote it's called Pascal's Wager. He's a math guy, and he used to keep this thing in his arm of his shirt here, and it said that. He said, if I've given up everything to follow God and I'm wrong, I've lost nothing.
Yeah.
But if I don't give up everything and I don't, I've lost everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's his wager.
I like that.
So
I think it's a truism. I don't think it's a good article to win someone over on.
no, because some people fight against that. It is a truism, though. Yeah, it is true.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, think about it. Even if you have lived a good life,
Well, let's put it this way. Somebody can go, you should take the Kool-Aid because if it is good, you'll be protected. But other than that, it's inert, so you won't notice.
uh-huh.
I don't want that argument.
Gotcha.
Well, I don't think that's a good argument.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a truism, but
It is a truism. And the other thing about it is, like, for me, most people go, wait a minute, living a good life, that's really subjective. Like, your idea of a good life might be different than mine. But if it's not true, like the afterlife is not true, then it won't matter anyway. Because everybody just dies. So it won't matter if you rape a bunch of people or if you're a really good, kind soul to everybody.
right.
Because nothing matters.
No, that's the thing. That's how you know that this is innately in people. Because when you're like, well, why don't I just shoot you in the head and take all your money? They instinctively know that's bad.
Right.
If we all were a bunch of barbarians, they would be like, well, I guess I'll shoot you first.
Uh-huh.
that's how. Instead, they want to argue that, or good or bad,
Right.
and that we culturally came up with it.
Right.
Like that's
All of a sudden can produce faith
right,
that says, I saw it.
Right.
Whereas I've never seen anything like that
right.
to give me faith. But that's crazy.
Maybe you should try and stab a Christian.
I don't want to. I don't want to. I mean, maybe I get stabbed by, maybe I should go be a missionary, and then maybe, something would happen. I cross the Great Boa, but with my eyes wide open. But that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And the other thing that's really amazing is that in the movie, that Jim Elliott, he's leaving on this trip, and his son comes running to him because he would just kind of scare him away.
Scare him.
So his son comes and he says, Dad, tell me, he said, promise me that if they try to do something to you, that you'll, shoot them. And he looked at his son and he said, listen, he said, they would not shoot these people because they knew if they shot them, they would go to hell. But if they were killed, they knew where they were going. That's some serious faith, dude.
Yeah.
And that goes back to some of the stuff we've been talking about, whether it's about Jewish people or what it is.
Self-defense.
Self-defense. I mean, it really flies in the face of, like, what are we because if you look at, if that other person that's looking at the end of your barrel, if they don't know Jesus, you literally are sending them
to hell. No, it's profound.
Yeah.
Difficult to deal with.
Well, I shouldn't say you're sending them there, but
you sure are a catalyst.
Yeah, you're a catalyst. Yeah, you're going to move them there quickly.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that all works, but interesting stuff. All right, well, we've probably beat this up enough today, I think. Is our stream still sucking wind?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Any comments or questions or thoughts on there?
Ron Duncan just says handsome anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Westover said that's testing too. No. When you were talking about your basketball story. So
Brian Westover said that?
Yeah, I'm guessing that was April.
April, don't ever define me online.
No, she didn't. She said, I think she was coming to your defense because I said, aren't you?
Oh, okay, that's fine then.
Yeah.
You're all right.
I think she was in agreement with you.
Yeah.
No, that was it. That was all. We had 4 playbacks on the YouTubes and a couple watchers on the Facebook here and there. Facebook changed their stuff, so we're going to have to come up to speed with what they changed.
I say we don't. I say we let Facebook die.
How's Ron Duncan going to say handsome if we...
He can go to YouTube. Ron, you can go to YouTube, right?
Next week, Ron, you can go to YouTube and say handsome.
We're going to be on Rumble and YouTube.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to get at least
30,000 viewers.
30,000.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. If anybody's, one of our sponsors is Ricola.
Ricola.
So if you're into soothing relief that lasts, the original natural herb cough drops are really good. I just wanted to say that.
I didn't realize we picked them up this week. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, they don't donate any money to us or anything.
Or actually talk to us.
But they sure do make your throat feel nice. And Brandon, what do you have over there?
This is vitamin C.
Vitamin C.
Brought to you by Vitamin C.
How much is that, each one?
These are only 500.
A piece? So you're taking 2,000 milligrams right there? You realize that's way over the RDA.
What's that mean?
You could be harming your body.
Recommended daily allocation.
Yeah, you haven't listened to the people, the experts, to say that's too much for you.
I'm good with the 2,000.
Okay. Very good. What's the other stuff you got there? A little zinc?
No. That's 5 HTP.
Okay.
So I started that a couple weeks ago.
Nice. Are you taking other stuff that the doc told you to start taking yet? Have you started that?
Yeah, I started that last Thursday.
Does it feel like it's doing anything?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, like what kind of changes have you felt?
Maybe not as anxious.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it natural?
It is.
What is it?
Cyto PT/HTP, and then I'm taking a I forget the name for it, but I'll bring it in.
Okay.
I'll send you pictures. Something for my pancreas.
Oh.
This guy knew something about our history of pancreas, and I didn't even tell him that.
Huh.
Just by feeling me, and I went and saw a holistic doctor.
No, that's great.
So,
That's cool.
yeah.
What hole is he from?
I don't know. But it was interesting.
Did he send you on a vision quest?
He did. He put this drop on my tongue,
Did he really?
and then I was out there for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, he didn't do that.
He didn't poke you with
You know,
long needles, did he?
No.
One of the things that I appreciate, you have the same ability as your father to totally tell something, and you have to be like, you're not serious, are you?
Yeah.
Could be way out there, and you're just like, I think he's telling the truth.
It might be true.
All right.
Well, if does he want to be a sponsor, the doctor that you went to see?
He could.
All right, we'll ask him.
Are you
What's
going to go
his
see him?
sponsor? I don't know. I don't want him to tell me I got problems with my pancreas and my liver.
You might.
Do you know how you fix it?
Go to a basketball game and see if Nathan makes a shot.
Nah, you should drink and smoke. You should just kill that stuff.
Yeah, that'll work.
You kill that pancreas. You punish it.
Well, that is Paul did tell Timothy to take a lot of wine for his stomach.
See?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's a little wine.
You gotta punish it.
It's a little wine. Take a little wine for your stomach.
Might have been stronger back then.
Take a little wine.
Might have been.
I think it was because it had foot odor in it.
Might have been like Everclear. You're thinking?
No. I mean, wine in a box versus homemade wine is way different.
I heard of a dude that used to take cherries, homemade cherries from his house. Did you tell me about that?
Go ahead.
And he'd put them in a jar and then put them on his roof and let them bad boys
Ferment.
And from my understanding, that stuff was so strong. Oh, I think it was Bob Hanasowski. I think it was his father-in-law used to do that. He said that stuff was so strong, man, it would burn your mouth and throat going down.
Oh, yeah.
That's not even pleasurable.
Terrible. So,
It's not supposed to hurt.
well, we're here to say that God does exist, but sometimes God is hidden, and sometimes he hides himself just enough so that you have to search for him.
Yeah. But he also is riding with you in the car saying, hey, stupid, listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think he uses the word stupid?
Yeah, he's like, hey, dummy.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because in the scriptures, a lot of times the word could be translated stupid or foolish. Or
See?
Yeah.
Well, we are. If you're a non-believer, you're a fool.
Yeah. Not to mention, Jesus said we're like sheep.
Yeah.
Sheep are pretty dumb.
Sheep are not smart. They're delicious, though.
You mean like a hero? Like on a hero?
Like a lamb.
Oh, really?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't think I could eat it.
Why?
Because I had mutton one time, and it was terrible. It was so strong and nasty. You know what mutton is?
No.
It's like a 2-year-old lamb, which is like once it gets
Like
so
a veal
old.
lamb?
No.
Oh, like a real old lamb.
Yeah.
Oh.
And veal's calf. It's not
I
lamb.
know, but I was thinking like a little baby lamb. Meh.
Yeah. So if you want lamb, you're gonna want a baby lamb, not a older lamb, because then it gets this really strong.
That's why you cover it with rosemary.
Well, maybe. Rosemary is a good spice to cover a lot of meat.
I like lamb. It's delicious.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
I think we're done.
Enough of this nonsense.
All right. Have a great weekend.
Have a good one, everybody. I think. What happened to our clothes? We don't have that anymore?
Yeah. It's there somewhere. Isn't it?